I think an interesting issue to discuss is the Patrick Mahomes injury now and how that affects things going forward. Listen, let's just talk about what happened. So Mahomes started off out of the gate looking amazing. He looked like, he's playing the best football of his life. Gets injured, did not look the same after the injury, but still was able to get the win. So there's a few things we have to talk about. One, does this matter for next week? Will he be healed? And if it does, how much does it matter? And to me, as someone who covers the NFL for a living, but does not know much about medical stuff, obviously, because I'm not a doctor, I'm mostly going to talk about what the impact is, but just the little research I've done, the Google searching I've done, says that these high ankle sprains tend to heal around 4 to 6 weeks, can be 3 weeks or faster, but the reality is 4 to 6 weeks tends to be what it's at. We don't know how severe it is, and we don't even know officially if it is a high ankle sprain. That's what people assume it to be. So that's just, let's just assume that is the case, and that's what's happening, and he will once again not be 100%. What does that mean going forward? Because you look at the breakdown in this game, when Mahomes was fully healthy, they had 2 drives and they scored 10 points. So small sample size, but 5 points per drive. Very good. And then Henny came in and scored a touchdown, so he had 7 points per drive. Maybe Henny should be the starter. Best quarterback ever. Offense really effective in the first half. Second half, with injured Patrick Mahomes, it did not go well. They scored 10 points in 6 drives. Now, again, Mahomes still had a couple of those Mahomes magic plays, right? This was still a very impressive performance from Mahomes given the circumstances, but 1.6 points per drive is not going to get it done. That is a full point per drive lower than he is used to, than the Chiefs are used to. So if that happens, and if Patrick Mahomes is legitimately is that a concern? Now, again, we're dealing with a small sample size, half of football, and for Jacksonville, you definitely have to think, they made their own adjustments. You can't simply sit here and say, oh, it was just, Patrick Mahomes was better. That's all it was. No, it's obviously more to it than that, but it does make you wonder if Mahomes is not 100% and is not ready to go and cannot use his mobility the way he wants to, that could have potential devastating consequences for the Kansas City Chiefs when they're going up against a team like Buffalo or like Cincinnati. Because again, when Mahomes was banged up in that second half, they did not outscore Jacksonville. And I think you could argue Jacksonville outplayed Kansas City a little bit in that second half. If it wasn't for the Jamal Agnew fumble, do the Chiefs win that game? Probably, but certainly not if the score was tied at the second half and everything else went the same. Then you'd be looking like you're in a tough spot. Maybe they still win. I don't know. But the main thing is that it's a concern. And if Mahomes can't use his mobility the way he likes to, he isn't as good of a quarterback. Listen, Mahomes is still a great pocket quarterback. There's no denying that. Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. I don't know how many people even argue with that at this point. Maybe some Bills fans or some Bengals fans, but I'm taking Mahomes one overall if we're doing a fantasy draft, a real life fantasy draft, not fantasy football, but you know what I mean, like in the game where you can pick wherever you want to start a franchise. I'm taking Mahomes, but you think about this. If it is Buffalo, or if it's going to be Buffalo or Cincinnati, both teams have these electric quarterbacks themselves. And if they're going into a game with a quarterback advantage now, like if it's Cincinnati, for example, or let's say Buffalo. Buffalo's favored. If it's Buffalo going into that matchup, I feel like I like the Buffalo supporting cast a lot more than Kansas City's supporting cast. You could argue either way. I think I like Buffalo's defense a lot more than I like Kansas City's defense. But again, I guess you could argue it either way. But if Josh Allen is a significant quarterback advantage in that game because Mahomes is not 100%, I don't know if I pick the Chiefs to win. Whereas if Mahomes is 100%, I'm picking the Chiefs to win regardless of who they're playing. It could be potential huge consequences. And so even though you get the win, will you be able to perform? Because again, Mahomes looked off in this game. He just did. He still made a couple of those Mahomes plays, but he was not running around like he was. I mean, again, he still scrambled for a first down. He's Mahomes. He's going to find these ways to make plays happen. That's just what he does. But, he did not look the same. I mean, I thought Collinsworth did a really good job on the broadcast where he's talking about what happens with the ankle, and you kind of have to move it in different ways. And you see that how, there's one pass where he kind of put it down in a weird way, and then when he threw it, he just didn't have the power on it because he's now throwing in a way he's not used to, right? Which, again, part of the greatness of Mahomes is he's so good at throwing off balance, throwing in ways that you don't typically expect people to throw and still being accurate at it. But still, now he's going to have to throw in ways that he's not as used to. Again, maybe it won't be as painful this time. Maybe it'll be still not fully healed, but he'll be able to play like normal. I'm not making any guesses on what the extent of the injury is in this video. I'm simply just making, there's doctors on YouTube who do a good job of talking about that stuff and saying what their opinions is on that stuff. Again, the only people that really know are the doctors in, for the Chiefs who have actually looked at it and been able to figure out exactly what's going on. And they have the best doctors in the world, obviously. And you have to think Mahomes will play, assuming there's not a serious, again, high ankle sprains can require surgery. Like, they can be severe, that's from what I understand, but I would just assume that it's not at that level, because if it was, why would he be, why would they throw him back out there at that point? I imagine that that's the case. So, will the Chiefs be able to beat the Bills or the Bengals, depending on who wins? It's an interesting discussion. It really is. And again, if it's the Bengals, for example, I talked about the Bills. If it's the Bengals, for example, you got Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, all those guys. And if the Chiefs can't throw the ball down the field, it's hard to keep up. If one team can throw the ball down the field, obviously Josh Allen has the big arm. And the Chiefs listen, Mahomes will still be able to throw the ball, but will he be able to have as much power? That's another question. If he can't get his, power comes from the legs. If he can't quite get his legs the way you want it to be, it's just a question. And the reality is, the real answer is we don't know what to expect from Patrick Mahomes. We're just speculating here. But, if Mahomes is fine, Chiefs are favored to probably win the Super Bowl at this point, especially because, as I'm recording this video, they're the only one team who has advanced, so certainly they're the favorite now. But, they're probably, once the conference championships are set, the favorite to win the Super Bowl if Mahomes is fine. If Mahomes is, severely hurt, well then the Chiefs are probably screwed. And if Mahomes is, let's say 80%, well, then I don't know. Then I don't know how much I like the Chiefs. That might be enough to flip my pick to the Bills or the Bengals, depending on who will be playing Kansas City. And if it's the Bills, it'll be in a neutral site, so they don't even get the home field advantage aspect of it. And then there's also the last question of, if Mahomes isn't 100%, if Henne is playing better than him at practice, do you make the move and throw Henne out there? Probably not, right? I can't imagine you do that. But it's a question that Andy Reid has to ask himself, is if Mahomes does not look right in practice and isn't playing well, do you maybe make the move? But again, the chances of that seem small, and Mahomes can still find a way to make this magical stuff happen. So I don't know. I want to make a video on it because I do think it's an interesting topic. It is a big story, but maybe we'll find out more this week about just the injury itself. But hey, tough, but at the end of the day, looked a lot worse at a certain point. Looked like he might be just gone for the year, and that would have been devastating. Or it looked like the Chiefs might have lost, and then, they would have been out, the whole team would have been out for the year. Not the worst case scenario, certainly, for Kansas City. But interesting stuff. What do you guys think about, if Mahomes isn't 100%, how that affects the rest of the way? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.